Oh, ha, ha. What's up? Incredible. Incredible. I think, how are you doing today, my friend? I am Y311H. This funny friend of mine here is Kasungumo's wife. Kasungumo is on a vacation in the jungle. You can see him in this episode here. Now, you see, I haven't even told you what we are all about here. So don't think of walking away. Let me tell you. Here, we spread love, peace, honesty, forgiveness, and unity to all earthlings by reacting together to the videos that we shall be seeing here today. You take a closer look at them and leave your comments there. But first, my friend, it's very important that we hear from the book of knowledge before we dive in. Maybe you're wondering which book is that if it's your first time. Well, my friend, subscribe there because that book we are saying is this book. Book of Wisdom, aka the Bible in English lands. This is what it tells us. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. The second is this. Love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than this. That's what we shall be talking about in these videos. But let's give thanks to God. Father Lord, thank you for this amazing soul that you created, Father, and have clicked this video. Bless them abundantly, Father. Thank you for your love in our lives, Father. Thank you for today's videos, today's animals, Father, and everything, my Lord. Forgive us all our sins and guide us through these videos. In Jesus' mighty name, we pray and believe. Amen. Let's dive in. Good vibes, soul.
The latest victim of the Mandela effect is none other than Marilyn Monroe. One of Marilyn Monroe's most defining features on her face is her beauty mark. I'm sure as soon as I said it, you pictured it. You pictured exactly where it's at. But where did you picture it? Did you picture it right here? Or did you picture it over here? If you thought it was like over here, like above the lip, I'm sorry, you are incorrect in our current reality. Her beauty mark has always been right about there. When I saw this, I was like, is this just me? So I asked a few friends and everybody agreed with me. But then that made me wonder, did the famous Monroe piercing that was really popular a few years ago change too? And no, it did not. The Monroe piercing is where we all thought that Marilyn Monroe's beauty mark was this whole time. So if Marilyn Monroe's beauty mark was always up by her cheek, then why did people start doing piercings above the lip? I say it's the Mandela effect. You can call it whatever you want, but I want to know what you remember. This world we're living in is just crazy. I would like to stop jumping into alternative timelines now, please.
This has got to be the most confusing glitch in the Matrix of all. The last one has my mind absolutely blown.
It's snowing pretty hard.
Okay, you see the snow in the mirror, but it's not snowing outside.
So clear. Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
Somebody please explain that to me.
Alright, so it's moving.
Okay.
But wait, when we start moving, it looks like it's still. And then
What?
you can tell it's moving again.
Okay. I don't know if anybody can explain
So
that.
crazy.
That's insane.
No. My fear is happening. My fear is happening of not being able to get to my car in a parking garage.
Okay.
There's my car. Yep. Okay. If I go down that way, that brings me down. So I'm walking up. But when I get on the corner, nothing.
What?
So now I'm coming back down. I'm so confused. I know I'm on level 3.
This one's only
But
for a
like,
loop, y'all.
why? Why can't I get right there? I'm gonna have to freaking hop the barrier. I saw another ghost TikTok on this once, and this was the same thing. And it was like an obstacle course. Why?
That's a good if I've ever seen one.
Help me.
Okay guys, it's important that we know about the chakras. We're going to go over the root chakra first, okay? We're going to do something on all the chakras, but this is really, really important. We want to know about eternal life. Okay, here we go. Okay, here's a picture of all of our chakras. Now, as above, so below, what we do on the inside is going to replicate on the outside, vice versa. So we can help bring heaven to earth by doing that within ourselves. When heaven does come to earth, this will happen within all of us, period. So by doing this process, it does not help one person who accomplishes this gain Christ consciousness. It helps bring Christ consciousness to the whole. You see what I mean? This whole lifting Christ up your spine to gain Christ consciousness is an ego. This is an ego trap, guys. So here is the root chakra. Inside the root chakra, we see a triangle like this. This represents the feminine. This is a symbol for Shakti, okay, the divine feminine. This is feminine. This kind of looks like the Holy Grail or the inner workings of a woman's, you know what parts, right? The womb. Stick with me, guys. We have this, the divine feminine, in a box, similar to the Kaaba in the black cube in Mecca, okay? And I've already shown you in previous videos what that represents. That is what this represents in the root chakra. We see it in a circle, and we see, I'm sorry, it's really hard to hold my camera and draw. This is why my drawings are so awful. We see 4 petals. This is really important to remember for the future of what I'm going to show you of why these 4 petals are very, very important. This is related to the 144,000. I'll explain this later. We need to definitely take note that the color of this chakra is red. And we're going to look at Isaiah 1:18. It says, your sins are like scarlet and crimson, and they will be made white. This is important. Note this, okay? Whoops, drop a sec. We know that the root chakra, okay, it's called the root. The root of what? The root of the tree of life, guys. That's what this is the root of, okay? As an energy worker, I know when someone's root chakra is closed, it's because they have, issues with security, maybe finance, just basic life. It's your animal instinct, your food, survival, shelter, things like that. So it has to do with the need of what? Of money system that they put us in. That's why the root of all evil is what? The love of money. About the root chakra, the root of the tree of life, the root of evil, which is these chakra systems that need to be brought into one. That is alchemy, okay? And I'm going to show us how to do this, but we need to break it down step by step, guys, okay? So now we understand the root chakra.
This artist made a pillow of marble. What? Hell. Man, humans are extremely
I have this glass
creative.
full of water with a styrofoam bob in the top, and I'm gonna cover the top. You'll see it floats to the top, and then I'm gonna let go. Not all that surprising. But what happens with a different shaped container? So now you can see I have a very dramatically different container. Now it is much taller than it is wide. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing I did with that wine glass. I'm gonna flip this over. You'll see it takes the little foam bulb there a lot longer to get to the top. And now when I let go, watch what happens. So the air needs to get replaced. Any amount of water that leaves the container needs to be replaced by air. But because the opening at the bottom is so small compared to how much water there is, it takes a long time for it to be able to pull in enough air for the water to leave. So that's why a styrofoam ball sits there and hangs out at the top until the air bubble gets all the way up there and then is finally able to drop down.
So we're human beings given just enough knowledge of math and science so that we can be the best worker bees possible to serve our queen, but not too much to where we would understand the true nature of reality in the universe and maximize our human potential leaving this planet. Now, this is what Terrence Howard touched on in the Joe Rogan interview, and it's super fascinating because when Rogan asked him about the origin of human beings, essentially, he went into the Anunnaki story and what the ancient Sumerians talked about was that after a cataclysm, these beings came down and imparted them with all the knowledge and wisdom they needed to restart civilization. Now, this is not just a Sumerian story. You'll find the same thing in like ancient Greece, with Prometheus and Zeus. It's in Hinduism, it's in, Egyptology, Mayans. They all have these stories of these deities that came down and taught humans science and math and engineering, agriculture, politics, that kind of stuff, okay? All right. Now, it seems like all of these beings are the same thing, just told from different perspectives by different cultures and religions, right? That's why they have different names and stuff, but they're all the same beings coming down to earth and teaching us something. Now, if they're benevolent beings and have our best interests at heart, then the things that they teach us would be accurate, right? We say, okay, thank you guys for giving us all this knowledge. Y'all are awesome. But what we see is we were given enough knowledge to be very efficient workers on Earth, to build machinery and gadgets and measurement devices and stuff, to really be good workers. I mean, look around. What do people do on Earth? We work. Everyone slaves away and works. And what the ancient Sumerians taught us is that we were made for that reason. Our progenitors engineered already evolving primates with their DNA, hybridized us to be slave workers because the Ajiji were fighting back and they needed someone to mine gold, right? That's the Anunnaki story of Sumerians. Now, if this is the case, it would explain so much. It would explain why, when you put together all of our math and science, it does an amazing job of interpreting the mechanisms behind this simulation that we're in, this fishbowl, as I call it. But when you get out of the fishbowl, when you go to the macro, universal scale, it falls apart. When you go to the micro, quantum scale, it falls apart. Because we weren't given that knowledge. No. Because that is true wisdom. That will enlighten us. If we understand the true nature of the simulation, the true nature of the wider universe, then we would be free. And what you see in like the story of Prometheus and Zeus was them fighting over should humans be free. And when it goes to Enlil and Enki, all of these stories where we were taught these things are all backed by a story of one side, even like Adam and Eve, right? Should they eat from the tree of knowledge or should they not, right? Should they, you know what I mean? So we're always told these stories of, humanity has this great potential, but we're kept in the dark, right? Well, why is that? Okay, so when this Terrence Howard, Joe Rogan story or interview came out, it went viral. Not because the things Terrence Howard was saying were right. We don't know yet. The story's, still out. We have to test all this stuff. But what it did is it struck a chord with people because people knew inside intuitively that what we've been taught in school is, I won't say wrong, because it's allowed us to get this far in our development, but it's very clear that it's not the whole story, okay? That's why scientists, they'll have certain things that are accurate and true and testable, and then for other things, they'll just say, oh, it's a black hole, or it's dark energy, or it's dark matter. They just chalk it up to like, string theory and 12 dimensions, and, oh, can you prove any of this? No, we're working on it, And it's like, okay, so the track record's all over the place. And I'm not knocking these guys. I think they have good intentions, but if you have to trace it back to where our original knowledge came from. Because all the books that they're using in school, all the basics, the fundamentals that they're building all this stuff off of, we were taught that by higher intelligent deities. And we don't know their true intentions. Were they good or bad? Do they want the best for us? Or were they just creating a worker race? We don't know. That's the most important question, because if they were benevolent, wouldn't they tell us, wouldn't they fill in all these gaps and holes, right? At the beginning, they taught us everything we needed, right? They told us everything we needed to form civilization. So why would they not tell us the rest? So it makes me think that the progenitors, the people who engineered us, needed us for a certain reason, and now that reason might be over, okay? They might have flown the coop. Maybe they're out of here. And what's left behind is this species of humans that was given a little bit of the story, one piece of the puzzle, and is left to our own devices to figure the rest out. And people are starting to wake up and say, hey, the fuck is going on here? Like, what is going on? And like, we don't know who we are. We don't know why we are. We don't know when we are. We don't know where we are. We don't know these things. And if there is a higher intelligent being, which every single creation story and every single culture talks about these deities that are higher than us, much more advanced spiritually, intellectually, technologically, and they're not helping us now. They're not telling us the answers. They're not filling in these gaps. So our scientists are struggling. They're trying, but they hit a wall. And when someone like Terrence Howard comes out and says, hey, this makes sense, guys. Check this out. Just like when Walter Russell did this 100 years ago. We as humans instinctively are like, hey, I want to know the rest of the story. I know that there's more, so I'm latching onto this. But then scientists that are very proud of their profession and their education, they do not want to admit what I just told you, that maybe the origins of their knowledge came from some deities that are malevolent. Maybe they're not here to make us as enlightened and intelligent as we could be. I think humans have so much upside, it's not even funny. I think we are an incredibly powerful intellectual and spiritual being, to the point where look at all the extraterrestrial and spiritual and energetic races that are interested in us. We're not nothing. We're not ants. But they're not helping us either. It's a very intriguing situation that we're in. So I think that's the biggest thing that's happening right now. This interview that came out, Terrence Howard, Joe Rogan, it implanted a concept in the collective unconscious that there's more to the story. That maybe what we've been taught is at best partially right. It's allowed us to be really good worker bees on Earth. I mean, look around. What do? We work relentlessly all day, every day. And the sciences and the math allow us to be better workers. Okay? Now, that might be by design. Might be by accident. Seems like it's by design. Let me know. What do you guys think about all this? Have a beautiful day. Peace.
It is hard to keep a duck as a pet. No, it isn't hard
You guys
at all.
know how drinking alcohol is like very fun, but very, very bad for you? The past couple days I've been learning about a chemical called 1,3-butane-diol, and it's a liquid that's chemically very similar to alcohol that also gets you drunk, but it's not toxic to your body in the same way as alcohol. So 1,3-butane-diol was actually originally studied as a calorie source for astronauts. They weren't able to use it because they realized that when you ingest it, it makes you drunk. Interestingly, the drunkenness isn't really what makes alcohol bad for your body. It's just that your body breaks alcohol down into other chemicals which are toxic to your liver, brain, gut health, immune system, everything. And those byproducts are also really bad for your hormones, which is why you see like men who are really heavy drinkers having beer bellies. And what's cool is that while 1,3-butane-diol gets you drunk in the same way as alcohol, it breaks down into ketones, which your body can actually use as energy. And if you're a guy, it's great because it doesn't decrease testosterone production. There's a lot more really cool research on it, which I'll talk about in future videos, but I'm actually ordering some tonight, so stay tuned because I'm going to test it.
80 miles per hour wind moving airplane at DFW airport. I don't know where that is, but this is crazy. A wind moving a plane, my friend. Oh, if I was there, this wind could have carried me. If this is a plane, oh my god. Wow. I pity the skinny people in that area.
I cannot believe it. I just came into the kitchen and saw this.
What? What's going on here? Someone destroyed utensils.
No, it's a way of...
It's a way of making holes on a cup, on a plastic plate without water spilling.
Now this good vibes, someone's father is testing the hack.
Yeah, this one is a good vibe soul. Someone's father here decided to test that hack for us. Let's see if the person that had put up that video was honest, you see? Because my friends, here we are always talking about honesty and good vibes. Let's see. Oh my god, it's like it's working. It is working. How is this possible? Oh, this is mind-blowing. My god. My friend, did you know that is possible before you watched this? Well, if you knew or didn't, hit the like button still and leave your comments. Yo, this ant was given something to eat. I've been seeing several videos of ants. Something, the ant went and called their friends and neighbors, only for them to come and find the small piece. The big piece has already been moved. That ant must have had a hard time explaining to the others. Oh my god. Wow. The whole community had come only to find something that could be carried by 3 people. This one caused confusion in their village. My god. Poor ant. That one must have been taken to court there. Some ant's court. For lying to the people. You see, these ants also act with honesty.
And there's something that doesn't make sense to me. To me, it looks like a contradiction. However, I want to know if I'm wrong, because I probably am wrong. And I want to know. So this is why I'm coming to you guys to help me. In Genesis 46:33, when Pharaoh addresses you and asks, "What is your occupation?" you are to say, "Your servants. Both we and our ancestors have raised livestock from our youth until now. Then you will be allowed to settle in the land of Goshen, since all shepherds are detestable to Egyptians." So now they're saying, like, don't say that you guys are shepherds, because the Egyptians don't like shepherds. Like, they're not gonna like you, right? And then in Genesis 47:3, it says, "And Pharaoh asked his brothers, 'What is your occupation?' They said to Pharaoh, 'Your servants, both we and our ancestors are shepherds.' And they said to Pharaoh, 'We have come to stay in the land for a while because there is no grazing land for our servant sheep, since the families in the land of Canaan has been severe. So now please let your servants settle in the land of Goshen.' Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, 'Now that your father and brothers have come to you, the land of Egypt is open for you. Before you, settle your father and brothers in the best part of the land.'" You see, now I'm confused. Because they said they were shepherds, even though they weren't supposed to say they were shepherds. And the Pharaoh, who's Egyptian, is saying, "Okay, bless. Come. This is the best land for you." But does that make sense? Does that make sense? Am I missing? I'm missing something here. I'm missing something.
So if there are a bunch of dead bodies inside of Lake Tahoe, why would they not eventually rise back up to the surface like most bodies do when you dump them in water? The reason that bodies usually float back up when you dump them in a body of water is because as the body starts to break down, it releases gases. Those gases make the body bloat and rise up to the surface. But bodies don't start to decompose if they are kept cold enough. Think of like a morgue. The morgue has a refrigerator for their bodies, and they don't decompose because they are kept cold. And Lake Tahoe, at the bottom of it, acts exactly like that refrigerator. Since there's a tremendous amount of water and a tremendous depth inside Lake Tahoe, the bottom of the lake never gets above 39 degrees. So the temperature and the pressure inside of Lake Tahoe are just going to prevent the bodies from undergoing the natural decomposition process, so they never bloat and then they never float back up to the surface. Some people believe that there is a depth at which most of the bodies will stay naturally, and so if you swim down to that depth, you'd see hundreds, if not thousands of bodies all around you, perfectly preserved, and they call it a really creepy name, the dancing table, because all the bodies look like they're dancing.
Baby sneakily takes a bite of dad's banana. Wow. So the dad there was not looking. Whoa. Much love to all the parents out there. Big up to yourself. Thanks for bringing wonderful children to this world. And those that are guardians also to kids, taking good care of them. May God always bless you abundantly. You see? This dog couldn't contain their excitement after seeing some barbecue chicken. Flying bridge. Hey, which one? Guy. Ooh. Aye. Wow. They'll go through this one. Why is this place, my friend? Wow. Guy. Is this real stuff or is movie stuff?
Figure, look at that. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, would you look at that.
This little bad boy right here is the most terrifying drug on the planet. When ingested, it is guaranteed to give you horrifying hallucinations completely indistinguishable from reality, which last a minimum of 3 days. Craziest part about it is that it's 100% legal. Strongest effects of this drug can last up to a week. The lingering effects can last up to months, if not years. It can give you psychosis and literally fuck you up and traumatize you for life. Belongs to a species of plants known as nightshade, in which the primary component is known as scopolamine, which is a deliriant, and it is what causes these hallucinations. Scopolamine can be found in over 5 different species of nightshade, and you can find it pretty much anywhere. You can literally pick it from people's gardens. Scopolamine can also be isolated and prescribed to people for motion sickness, which is crazy. There's a version of scopolamine which is known as devil's breath. Devil's breath is a powdered version of scopolamine in which people can literally blow it in people's faces and rob them, like get them to go up to their ATM and pull out money because they cannot think straight, and it removes all inhibitions. And then they are left with the most terrifying hallucinations of their life and will likely never recover. Or will they be able to know who robbed them? Good job, government! The war on drugs is fucking horseshit. There's one trip story I read on this where a guy, like when it first started kicking in, he couldn't tell the difference between his eyes being closed and open, and each time he opened or closed his eyes, he was in a completely different hallucination, like different scenario. And all of this happened in a McDonald's bathroom, where he would close his eyes and he would all of a sudden be in a room filled with demons, and then he would open them and then he would be summoned into like a jail or something like that, and like have full-blown conversations with people that were not there. He experienced like satanic rituals and shit. So needless to say, one of the worst parts about this is that you completely act out your hallucinations and delusions, which is basically what delirium is. It is a psychosis-like state where your hallucinations are your reality and you act them out. Like, people can seriously like steal a car, drive, crash it, kill someone, maybe kill yourself if not worse, like paralyze yourself or something. It is not something to fuck around with. Now, the reason people do this is for the adrenaline rush, and I can't lie, I'm an adrenaline junkie myself. I have done things like DPH, I've done DXM, I've experimented with a lot of drugs that are just far from pleasurable and generally give you a horrible experience, but it is still thrilling and therefore addicting. Regardless, you should not be doing it. These drugs are incredibly risky. They will absolutely traumatize you. They will fuck with other people, and even though you're not really aware of what you're doing under the influence of it, you are still responsible for the decisions you make during being under the influence because you decided to take the substance.